The smell of acetone and spent welding wire. That's the perfume of a man who just clocked a 16-hour shift, but it's a smell I love. I pulled my pickup into the driveway of my little place in Oak Haven Heights, bone-tired, just wanted to see my baby. I'm talking about my 1970 Plymouth Barracuda, the one I spent 2 years dragging out of a barn and turning into something chrome and glorious. I hit the remote, and that garage door starts its slow growing up, and that's the precise moment my world exploded. Before the door was even halfway up, before I could even glimpse that deep plum metallic paint, this shrill sound cuts across the evening quiet. He stole it. Someone call 911 right now. He is stealing my car. Eleanor Vance, our HOA president, and, let's just say, the human embodiment of a clipboard with too much power, came charging across her pristine lawn like a rocket with bad intent. Her phone was already glued to her ear. Yes, there's a large black man stealing my Barracuda. Send every available unit immediately. Sirens already wailing in the distance. She hadn't even asked a question. She had called the police on me, a resident standing in my own driveway, holding my own keys, looking at my own damn car. I hadn't even had time to take off my work gloves. I inherited this work, this grease under the fingernails life from my father, and he got it from his 70 years of keeping engines breathing in this county. When my divorce finalized last year, she decided motor oil wasn't romantic. I used everything I'd left to buy this modest ranch house. Oak Haven was supposed to be the quiet, cookie-cutter community where everyone just kept their head down. The real estate agent lied. The Cuda wasn't a toy. I found her at an estate sale, a skeletal corpse, a rusted-out basket case most people would have scrapped for parts. But I saw the soul of American muscle under all that decay. $3,200 later, she was mine. Every weekend for 24 months was a pilgrimage. New 340 small block, 833 4-speed, sanding, priming, wet sanding until that paint finish, deep plum with a black vinyl top, could literally give you vertigo. I'm meticulous. I documented every single bolt, every receipt, every drop of sweat for insurance, filling a 3-inch binder thicker than a phone book. Then there was Eleanor Vance. If the HOA bylaws were a religion, Eleanor was its zealot high priestess. A real estate agent who drives a cream-colored Porsche that gets washed more often than I change my socks. She'd been president for 4 years, unopposed, because who wants that job? Her specialty wasn't community, it was compliance by citation. She once sent me a violation for my garden, hose being visible after dusk. Just maintaining the aesthetic integrity, Ray, she'd chirp, with that smile that always looked like it was powered by high-octane gasoline and malice. The real trouble started a few weeks ago. I heard her through my garage wall, showing off at her monthly neighborhood wine and gossip circle. Oh, my new car is shipping next week. It's a classic Cuda, just wired $45,000 for it. Totally worth it. My wrench almost slipped out of my hand. The next afternoon, I had to run to the parts store. I fired up my baby, and the 340 block, which I'd tuned to perfection, let out a deep, primal, rumbling thunder. When I got back, Eleanor was standing in her driveway, arms crossed, staring at the Barracuda like it had personally insulted her children. That night, I'm betting she spent hours online, convincing herself, brick by digital brick, that I had somehow stolen her imaginary purchase. And by the time those 2 patrol cars screeched into my driveway, lights blazing, she was ready to make her delusion everyone else's problem. 4 officers piled out like they were storming a drug lab. Officer Chun, the lead guy, looked tired, like he'd been doing this kind of suburban peacekeeping for too long. Evening, sir. We received a report about a stolen vehicle at this location. I took a deep breath. Stolen vehicle? This car has been mine for 2 years, in this garage, at this address. Eleanor materializes again, her face flushed with righteous fury. That's him, officer. That's the car thief. I just bought that exact car for $45,000 yesterday. Officers, I said, keeping my voice steady. My old man always told me, documentation beats desperation every time. I can prove ownership right now. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through the obsessive photo album I'd kept. Chen looked genuinely intrigued as he swiped through the pictures. Rust bucket frame, rolling chassis, me installing the engine, the upholstery work. That's serious work, man. You do this professionally, he murmured. Meanwhile, Eleanor was practically vibrating. She thrust some glossy printouts at the officers. He's lying. Look at these. I wired the money yesterday. Officer Chen barely glanced at her evidence. Generic dealer stock photos. No VIN, no bill of sale. He asked her, straight up, "Ma'am, do you have the title, the wire transfer receipt, the actual sales contract?" Her face went from fire engine red to ash gray. It's being processed. Classic car paperwork takes time. That's when I dropped the anchor. I dug into my toolbox, pulled out that massive 3-ring binder, and found the most sacred document, my DMV registration. My name, my address, matching VIN. Here is the holy grail, officer. 18 months old. Next page, progressive insurance policy, agreed value coverage, requiring all those photos you just saw. Everything aligned. Chen closed his notebook with a soft thud. He turned to Eleanor, and his tone shifted to that cold, official register cops reserved for people who waste taxpayer dollars. "Ma'am, this gentleman has clear chain of ownership spanning 2 years. Your evidence appears to be internet printouts. Filing a false police report is a misdemeanor offense in this state." The color drained from her face completely. I must have made a terrible mistake. The stress of buying a classic car, she stammered. They packed up and left. As I walked back inside, I caught her staring at me through her living room window. That wasn't remorse or embarrassment. It was pure distilled hatred. This wasn't over. This was just the opening shot. And it wasn't. Monday morning, tucked inside my mailbox, was the first official HOA violation notice. Unauthorized commercial vehicle storage. A $200 fine. 48 hours to comply. My work van, a perfectly ordinary Ford Transit with my family business name on the side, was now public enemy number 1. I watched her power walk past my house, shooting glances at the van like it was parked on her mother's grave. Here's what you need to know about HOA covenants. They're legal contracts, and I had a divorce lawyer who taught me that paper trails don't lie. I spent my lunch break at the county courthouse. What I found was better than hitting the lottery. My van was purchased in 2017. Oakhaven's commercial vehicle restriction was enacted in 2020. Any vehicle owned before a rule change is grandfathered in, protected by law from retroactive enforcement. Eleanor had zero legal authority. I drafted a 2-page rebuttal with copies of the purchase docs and delivered it. By Wednesday, my mailbox looked like a target practice wall. 3 more notices. Thursday evening brought the kangaroo court. An emergency board meeting at 7 p.m., with a notice slipped into my box at 4 p.m., barely legal, designed to prevent a defense. I showed up at the community center expecting drama and found 3 middle-aged women planning a church bake sale, led by Eleanor. "We're implementing an emergency ban on all automotive repair activities, effective immediately," she announced with that synthetic smile. I pulled out the HOA bylaws I'd memorized. Fascinating theory, but Section 4.3 requires 7 days advance notice for voting matters. And Section 4.7 mandates a quorum of 5 board members for official votes. I count 3 people, which gives this meeting the legal authority of a neighborhood book club. Eleanor's composure shattered. "You think you're so smart, don't you? Coming into our neighborhood with your people and your activities," the venom in her voice could strip paint. "I think I'm a homeowner who reads contracts before signing them." "Eleanor," I replied. "Novel concept, I know. That's when I got my first actual ally. Jerry, the guy 3 doors down, approached me the next day. Most of us think she's completely lost it, Ray. Want to grab coffee? I think it's time we talked." The coalition grew fast. Jerry, Chloe, a forensic accountant, and Arthur, a semi-retired corporate lawyer. I knew paperwork would never be enough, not against someone this unhinged. We needed the nuclear option. So I spent a solid day in the fluorescent tomb of the county courthouse basement, digging through Oakhaven's HOA financial records. What I found made my hands shake, and it wasn't just the $15,000 paid to Vance Property Solutions or the $12,000 to Wilson and Associates, which just happened to be her ex-husband's firm. I confirmed it. All 3 vendor addresses traced straight back to Eleanor's house. Our HOA president had systematically been looting the community fund, funneling approximately $78,000 into her personal defense funds over 2 years. But the real kicker, the thing that explained the sudden, manic desperation, was buried deep in the foreclosure notices. Eleanor Vance's own house was in default. $23,000 in unpaid HOA dues to her own association. Back taxes, attorney fees, the works. Her foreclosure hearing was 4 weeks away. She wasn't just a power-hungry Karen. She was a cornered animal facing financial obliteration, and I was her last, best chance at driving down property values for a quick commission before the bank took everything. Our Saturday morning strategy session in Jerry's garage felt like assembling the Avengers of suburbia. Chloe and Arthur looked at the financial records like predators spotting fresh meat. $112,000 in documented fraud. Arthur whistled. A clear harassment pattern. Prosecutors dream about cases this easy. Our battle plan was simple. Operation Rope-a-Dope. We let Eleanor think she was winning while we built a legal cage around her. We installed more cameras, thanks Carlos, the contractor, compiled standardized incident reports, thanks Linda, the high school teacher, and filed for the 3 open board seats. Eleanor's descent into full-blown criminality accelerated. First, she scattered roofing nails on my driveway. The cameras caught a figure in a dark hoodie moving with that familiar, quick, angry march. Then came the spectacular failure. She snuck onto my property at 2:47 a.m. and staged containers of fresh motor oil, with a Home Depot price sticker still attached, to frame me for an environmental violation. The city code inspector, who was frankly sick of her calls, documented the absurdity and forwarded the file to the fraud unit. Finally, the ultimate humiliation. At 2:33 a.m. on a Tuesday, Eleanor broke into the HOA management office. The security footage looked like a rejected scene from a heist movie written by a 5th grader. There she was frantically shredding documents, elbow deep in paper snow, when Officer Chen arrived. "Ma'am, step away from the computer," he commanded. She was cuffed and read her rights, blaming everyone but herself. "They're destroying everything I've built. This community was perfect before they came." Bail was set at $25,000, which, for broke Eleanor, might as well have been $1 billion. While she was enjoying government hospitality, Clara, her last nervous lieutenant, visited the jail with a hidden recorder. The tape Arthur played for us later was prosecutorial poetry. "There's money in my garage, Clara. Behind the water heater. Cash. Help me, and we can disappear. I'll give you $50,000. Admission of theft, conspiracy, flight risk. She had just confessed to everything while sitting in jail. The emergency neighborhood meeting packed the community center. 43 households. And the collective anger was a palpable, living thing. Jerry presented Chloe's final audit. Total theft, $112,000. "Every single family in this room has been systematically robbed," he declared. The vote of no confidence was unanimous. The sentencing hearing felt like the season finale of the world's most satisfying reality show. Eleanor, in an orange jumpsuit, looked like a defeated scarecrow. When the judge called for victim impact statements, I stood up first. "Your Honor," I said, my voice strong, "this case started with a woman calling 911 because I opened my own garage door. But it was never about the car. It was about power, control, and what happens when someone decides they can terrorize their neighbors without consequences." After the testimony, the judge was done. "Ms. Vance, in 30 years on this bench, I've rarely encountered such a systematic abuse of fiduciary responsibility combined with criminal intimidation." She paused, studying Eleanor with quiet disgust. "You held a position of trust and used it to steal from the very people who elected you. This court sentences you to 4 years in state prison, full restitution of $112,000, and 5 years supervised probation." The gavel slammed down like thunder. The courtroom erupted in applause, a deep, satisfying sound, like the universe finally correcting itself. As Eleanor was led away, She shot one last look back, not of remorse, but of concentrated hatred. Out on the courthouse steps, a reporter thrust a microphone in my face. "Mr. Ray, what would you tell other homeowners dealing with HOA abuse?" I thought about everything: the fear, the documentation, the sleepless nights, the community we built. Document everything. Build community. Truth wins. 6 words that went viral. 6 months later, Oakhaven Heights has changed. Our new board, Jerry, Chloe, Arthur, implemented radical concepts like transparency and common sense. Our property values are up 15%. I started the Oakhaven Automotive Scholarship, funded by Eleanor's restitution payments, which feels like poetic justice with a mechanical twist. Sometimes the bully just picks the wrong victim. We didn't just defeat a tyrant. We discovered what a real community looks like when good people fight back together.